Testes are the male reproductive organs, the primary male reproductive organs that are the male gonads and helps in the production of the gametes as well as helps in the release of the hormones. So here in this section, we'll be starting in detail about the anatomy of the testes. We'll be starting about the coverings around the testes, the internal structures forming this organ, and the vascular supply, which is the arterial supply and the venous drainage, along with that the nerve innervation to this organ. Now, some of the characteristic of the testes are that they are the paired almond-shaped gonads. They shape in the form of the almond, and they're suspended in the scrotum. They're suspended in the scrotum by these spermatic cords. You can very clearly see in this picture that we have these testes located inside the scrotum. Along with that, these fibers are spermatic cords. Now, the volume they are releasing is about 20 to 25 ml, and they are 4 to 5 centimeters long. So this complete region is the scrotum area, and we have the paired of these testes. That means we have two testes present inside the scrotum, and we have this region. This is the epidermis, which is present. This region is named as the epidermis because when the sperms that are releasing from the testes, the fluid that is releasing containing the sperms is being stored here in this epididymis region, and we have here these spermatic cords which are helping in the suspension of these testes inside the scrotum. The volume of the fluid released is about 20 to 25 ml, and they are 4 to 5 centimeters long, and their weight is about 10.5 to 14 grams. The functions of the testes is basically the process of spermatogenesis, which is the production of the sperms, and the hormone productions, which are the androgens and the testosterones. These are the two hormones which are released from the testes, and along with that, they helps in the production of the sperms, which is known as the spermatogenesis. So testes or testicles or testes used for the term plural. The covering of the testes. So covering of the testes involves the two tunicas. We have the tunica vaginalis, and then we have the tunica albuginea. So this tunica vaginalis is basically the peritoneal covering, or the layer covering the peritoneum, and the parietal and the visceral layers. It is further subdivided into two layers, which is the parietal layer and the visceral layer that surrounds the testes, and both epididymis, because epididymis is located superficially to the testes. So that is why this tunica has to be surrounding this testes as well as the epididymis. And it allows the free movement of the testes within the scrotum. The next layer we have is the tunica albuginea, which is whitish fibrous capsule. So in this picture, you can see both the tunicas, both the layer or the coverings of this testes. We have the tunica vaginalis, and interiorly we have the tunica albuginea, is basically the whitish fibrous capsule located here. On the other sides, we have this tunica vaginalis, which is basically the peritoneal covering, and it has both the parietal and the visceral layers surrounding the testes and the epididymis, and helps in the free movement of the testes within the scrotum. The internal structures of the testes are the fibrous septa extending from the capsule. Testes are average of about 250 lobules. Then internal structures includes the seminiferous tubules, which is 60 centimeters coiled. They are the sites of the spermatogenesis, and they form the bulk of the testicular tissues, and the interstitial cells of the Leydig secretes the testosterone. The internal structures of the testes means the structures located inside the testes are majorly they are the seminiferous tubules. So we have the fibrous septi that are extending from the capsule. The testes are basically have average of about 250 lobules. So these are basically the seminal vesicle, seminiferous tubules they have, and the lobules. This complete structure is a lobule. In between that we have the septum. So these are the septum albuginea, which is the covering of the testes. So in between these lobules, we have this layer of the testes. Then these seminiferous tubules are 60 centimeters coiled, and they are the major site for the sperm production. So inside the testes, these seminiferous tubules are the major site for the production of the sperms, and they form the bulk of the testicular tissues. The interstitial cells of the Leydig are basically secreting these testosterons. And here, each lobule, we know that each testis has 250 lobules, and each lobule is having 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules. The vascular supply to this region involves the testicular artery, which is arising from abdominal aorta at the level of L3, at the level of third lumbar vertebra. The venous drainage is from the pampiniform plexus of the veins that has dozen of the veins form network in the spermatic cord, become larger, and coverage as approaches the inguinal canal forms the testicular vein. Now the right vein is draining into the right intravenous and the left vein drain into the left renal vein. So the vascular supply is consisting of the testicular arteries and the venous drainages into the pampiniform plexus of the veins. Artery is basically arising from the abdominal aorta at the level of the third lumbar vertebra and supplying this region of the testes. Then we have this venous drainage, which we have multiple veins arising from this pampiniform network in the spermatic cord. They become larger and they converge as approaches the inguinal canal, and then they forms the testicular vein. So around the testes we have this testicular vein and the testicular artery. This artery is basically originating from the abdominal aorta and supplying this region, and then this vein is accompanying the artery and carrying the blood away from this region and draining into the left renal vein. The nerve supply involves the superior mesenteric nerves in the intermesenteric plexus. So here we have this intermesenteric plexus and they have the superior mesenteric nerves. We have the three portions of these nerves. Then we have the middle spermatic nerves in the superior hypogastric plexus. Then comes the inferior spermatic nerves in the pelvic plexus. So this region is located at the level of the pelvis. And the pudendal nerve again is supplying this region. This is the innervation of the testes. Then comes the iliohypogastric nerve, the ilioinguinal nerve, the femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve, and then comes the genital branch of the genitofemoral nerve supplying the region of the testes. So this was about section 2, where we've studied in detail about the organ, the primary sex organ, which is the testes, the location of that testes, anatomy of that testes, the vascular supply to this region in detail. I hope it is really clear to you now. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.